everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the
Geek Buddies. Hey!
Yeah. You know, we should do this thing like a roller coaster ride. The way you just did it, Mike and Shannon, it's very fun. It's like we're just and then we're going. So people should take a picture of themselves doing this with us, doing the A with us. Take a shot of yourselves. We'll post it on the internet or something. It could be a lot of fun.
Especially if you don't like it. So
if you're one of the people right now rolling your eyes and going, I like these guys, but this is so cringe, you have to do it.
Yeah, you have to do it.
And absolutely. I want you to make it even cringier. I want to see your worst Geek Buddies intro.
Wow. I love this idea. The worst one. I'm down with this idea. Well, we got so much going on here today in the world of entertainment that we're going to talk about here on the Geek Buddies, including a bunch of new trailers that dropped this week. There'll be some dry eyes. There won't be a dry eye in the house, rather, with one of these. And another trailer that elicits some anger amongst us here on the Geek Buddies. We're also going to get into the Amandla Stenberg story. We're going to talk about Marvel 85, do a big Marvel update, and get into some more stuff going on like Jurassic World Rebirth. All that stuff's going to be happening here on the show, but we should introduce ourselves first. I am the Outlaw Joan Roca, writer, producer, and host here on the Geek Buddies, repping my Spike Lee gear. What else we got here?
I am Michael Vogel, writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies, repping my Mouseketeer gear, and glad it's Friday, because this was a shitty week.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll try to pick up your spirits on the show then. Shannon.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor, and you can hear me right now on a new serialized podcast from Realm, iHeartMedia, and Blumhouse TV called Dream Sequence. My big episode dropped on this past Monday, and I am also repping some Seinfeld gear.
Oh, nice. Yeah. You can definitely listen to our friend here, and I'm just doing this to Needle Michael right here at there we go. The Shannon McClung 5th episode of Dream Sequence is up now, featuring Shannon McClung. Click on that link. Go to his Twitter there and follow him, and you'll see what you can listen to there, and see if you can pick out his sterling voice amongst all the great voices there.
Glad you're lifting my spirits at the end of this week.
Oh, cut it out. You cut it out.
I want to make sure that you're taken all the way down before we build you back up.
Yeah, exactly. Please go dive into your vault, Scrooge McDuck. All right, let's move on to the big story here. And that's this one, Amandla Stenberg. Let's start it off here. Amandla Stenberg was on her Insta stories and basically released about a 10-minute string of Insta stories talking about the situation with the Acolyte. She felt that she had to respond to what happened here with the Acolyte and the cancellation, and she did call it a cancellation. She said she wanted to talk about because she had to honor her value system. And then she said this: I'm going to be really transparent and say that it's not a huge shock for me that the show was canceled. Of course, I live in the bubble of my own reality, but for those who aren't aware, there's been a rampage of vitriol that we have faced since the show was even announced, when it was still just a concept. No one had even seen it. That's when we started experiencing a rampage of, I would say, hyper-conservative bigotry and vitriol, prejudice, hatred, and hateful language towards us. She went on to say about how the show brought up for her a lot, the reaction rather brought up for her a lot of social and political dynamics, a lot about her own value system, and what she did to navigate it. And, I watched this last night. I did a reaction video to it last night, which is up on the channel, because I just wanted to hear from her before I read other people's takes on it. I wanted to watch it and see if I could assess what she was saying. And I have to say, I found her to be really honest and heartfelt about where she was coming from. She really appreciated the people who supported the show, but it was very clear that the show, before it aired, I want to make it clear, before it aired is what she was talking about, got a lot of shit. So, Michael, what do you think of these comments from her and the Insta stories that she released addressing the Acolyte?
I think it's great that she did it. Honestly, I mean, and like, I've seen her already getting just like shredded and ripped apart on YouTube videos and on Twitter.
Of course.
Oh, well, she's saying that it was canceled because of the vitriol, but it was canceled because of the shitty rating, like all this stuff. And you're like, everybody, this person worked really, really hard on a show.
Yeah.
And it is undeniable that whether or not the show was canceled for that, because yes, it was canceled because it didn't do great. And we have, for weeks and weeks, talked about what we liked and didn't like about it. But this person worked on this show, and it is undeniable that she faced, and the entire show faced, just ridiculous vitriol, just insane hate. And I don't know what that does to a person. Like, I don't know how you do it. And like, Rolling Stone recently had an article come out that was really interesting. And like, you just look, I mean, from Ahmed Best to Jake Lloyd to Hayden Christensen to Daisy Ridley to John Boyega to Kelly Marie Tran to Moses Ingram to Amandla Stenberg and everybody on Acolyte. Like, this is why we can't have nice things. Like, who the fuck even wants to do Star Wars anymore? Like, who would want to do Star Wars if this is what is going to constantly happen when you Star War? And I know that people are like, oh, well, they're, you know, it's just the people that are doing these projects that are bad. But it's like, there is a problem with fandom. And so I think it's great that she spoke out. Do I agree with every single thing that she had said and every single reasoning that she had on why it got canceled? No. But Johnny, like you said, I thought it was really heartfelt and I thought it was really honest. And I think she has addressed a lot of the hate and vitriol that she personally has received head on, which I respect. And she stood up for Leslie Headland, which I also respect. Do I think Leslie Headland knocked that thing out of the park? No. But do I think Leslie Headland swung for the fences and tried to do something really different in Star Wars? Yeah. And I'm glad that her crew and the people she worked with are standing up for her. So, you know, Acolyte's one of those weird things. And I said this at the end, like, I don't think it was great. Yeah. But I find myself in a position of sort of still liking it despite that and wanting to defend it. And I'm glad that she stood up to defend it.
Yeah, Shannon, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, you're a working actor. You know, actors sometimes is like say less and you get more jobs. But I mean, there's a string of actors who are speaking out more and more from a younger generation. Storm Reed does the same thing. And here she comes out. Amandla Stenberg addresses this while she's braiding her hair and goes in depth on, as Michael said, like ride or die with Leslie Headland. And by the way, Leslie Headland made a beeline for Lucasfilm after the end of Russian Doll. She wanted to work in Star Wars. She loved Star Wars. And so as Michael addresses here, like it could deter people who really want to be a part of the franchise from being a part of the franchise. So what did you think about what she had to say? And what did you think about her doing it?
I think it was a very brave decision that she made to come out and do it, because at this point, like, the show's done. Like, it's not coming back. The show is done.
Yeah, no writing campaign is going to save the show.
I kind of
the show's not coming back. The show's not coming back.
I believe in, if they ever decide to go back to this era of Star Wars, which I think they will at some point. Yeah, sure. I don't think we're ever going to see May and Osha ever again. I think that those characters, they are gone. But in terms of being prosecuted for a crime before the thing has even started shooting, like, that sucks. And we've talked about this before. I mean, and mainly it's been with directors, but now we are rightfully shining a light on the actors as well, in that people are going to stop doing these projects because ultimately it's just not worth their mental health. Because if you go in wanting to tell a story, but the whole time you're worried about what are the fans going to think, what are the fans going to think, what are the fans going to think, you're probably not going to do as good a job as you would if you could just focus on telling the story. Now, I'm not debating the quality of the Acolyte. Like, I did not think it was a good show. But that being said, everyone, all of the actors especially that have kind of come into the crosshairs of this toxic section of the fandom, they are probably going to think twice before doing another project like this. And the people that are actually going to lose out are the fans, because you want really passionate, really talented people telling these stories. And ultimately we will eventually get to the point where they don't want to do them, just because, again, it's not worth the hit that their mental health takes. Now, again, in my circle, again, I didn't see a ton of this or right after the announcement, the fact that it is starring a Black woman, it is being created by a gay woman. Like, I didn't see a lot of this immediate vitriol, but to hear from enough people, enough smoke, there absolutely is going to be fire. So it is, I think it was a brave choice of Amandla Stenberg as a person, to come out and do this. And ultimately, again, I think the people that are going to lose the most are the fans, because, again, we want to see passionate people in these roles.
Yeah, I mean, when I did the reaction, I've seen the comments. Almost 200 comments on the video, and a lot of people are. Well, some of the comments, a good number of the comments, are like, well, the show sucked, that's why it failed. And it's like, that's not what she was talking about on this. And it's amazing how people just have this axe they want to grind about the show, when the truth is what she was saying in those 10 minutes is about what happens before the show even comes out. And that's the thing that's really difficult for them to navigate, is when you've created a very large cacophony of voices who are coming after something because it stars a black woman, because it's created by a gay creator, because it's got a diverse cast, because the creator says certain comments about expanding the world of Star Wars in a certain way or make it inclusive, and saying if you're a bigot, I don't consider you a fan of Star Wars, or racist, I don't consider you a fan of Star Wars, and you create this cacophony of voices, then you make the bar that it has to clear even higher for the general public to take an interest in it. And so I think that's what she was essentially addressing. And by the way, by the end of the stories, she said all of us need to look at the information we're getting and how we're filtering the information. We need to be more critical about the information we're getting. And I think that's essential, because I also see the other side that's trying to defend themselves and say, we had no problem with her being black or it's being a gay creator. It's because Leslie Headland worked for Harvey Weinstein. And it's like, well, none of you fuckers have any proof that she did anything or turned a blind eye to anything that went on connected with Harvey Weinstein. All you have is she must have known. That's not enough. And so to use that as an excuse to kind of shield yourself from your behavior, I think is a lie. So that's my opinion.
Twitter is it's like, even in what you just said, and what you said is a perfectly good representation of what goes on every day on Twitter. Yeah. It's like we've lost the script so far at this point. We are talking about a show about space wizards and little chipmunks that run around and do shit that we don't know why they did shit on that show. It is a weird fantasy world, and to get into DEI hires and Harvey Weinstein and this and that, it's like you've lost the script so much at this point. It's like, and so look, an actress came out who did a show and the show got canceled, and she feels bad about it, and she got a lot of hate online, and she was like, I got a lot of hate online. That's the end. And to your point, John, I do like that we're seeing more of this. I like that Chris Hemsworth came out post Thor 4 and said, hey, yeah, that was kind of a miss. I think we had a lot of fun on the set, but it didn't do great. I like that Chapel Roan's coming out and saying, hey, I love making music for you guys. Leave me the fuck alone when you see me out in public. Like, I like that we're getting a little bit more transparency and honesty. And I think that just makes us, for the most part, respect the creative people that are making the things that we want to watch, and recognizing that they are people and that they are working, and sometimes they do great and sometimes they do horrible and sometimes they just do something that's right there in the middle somewhere. Yeah.
And the thing is, she didn't write, direct, shoot, produce, or anything. She just acted. She said the line. She brought characters to life. That's all she did. People are trying to hang this whole thing on her. I mean, watching the comments after it was canceled on her Instagram, where they were laughing at her and saying, oh, there'll be no second season. And just the kind of vitriol, you just kind of go like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, where did you get effed up along the way? This is something that brings joy to you, to laugh at someone else's pain who lost a show that they really cared about doing. And she's clearly a massive Star Wars fan, which she has shown in numerous ways. So it's just a shame that people are invested in destroying people simply because they dare to do something different in a franchise that these people supposedly love. And I agree with you, Michael. Yeah, more that celebrities talk about the stuff, or famous people talk. I'm down for it. Anthony Mackie making it very clear. Hey, if I'm out and about, don't run up on me and thinking you're going to get a picture or an autograph. I'm trying to live my life, and I think that's fair to say that. And I appreciate people saying that. All right. Anything more on this, or shall we move on?
I mean, listen, I feel like we should probably spend some more time on the Acolyte, because I think the Acolyte doesn't get enough attention online. So maybe we should just make this whole episode about the Acolyte, because, it's not something that people are really talking about.
Watch people just start unwatching right now. Well, let's take a break and think about the Acolyte. On the other side, we're going to get into some other topics here on the Geek Buddies right after this.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Caught with my metaphorical pants down.
Forgot one of the most iconic themes of all time. Cool.
That's a well-oiled
All right, guys.
here, ladies and gentlemen. Take it
Well,
away.
as the person who has been in an emotionally abusive relationship with the Jurassic Park franchise for several years now, for the past several movies, I've said that I was done and I wasn't going back. And I keep going back because they keep pulling me back in with that amazing theme and dinosaurs. We got another one coming. Jurassic World Rebirth is coming to theaters, starring Jonathan Bailey, Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, directed by Gareth Edwards, written by David Koepp, who wrote the original Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park: The Lost World. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
After Jurassic World Dominion, which is truly one of the dumbest movies I've ever sat through in my entire life, I was like, okay, I'm for reals done. I'm not going back. Like, you're not getting me back. I'm done with it. I will watch the original Jurassic Park movie and love it. But what they have now done might pull me back in, because this, although this is in the Jurassic World franchise and does seem like it takes place post Jurassic World Dominion, this is a brand new story with brand new characters. It really is kind of a rebirth. And so here's what we got. Gareth Edwards directing, David Koepp writing. Official summary, 5 years following Jurassic World Dominion, the planet's ecology has proven largely inhospitable to dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs remaining are isolated in equatorial environments with climates that resemble the ones in which they thrived. The three most colossal creatures within the tropical biosphere hold the key to a drug that will bring miraculous life-saving benefits to mankind. And Scarlett Johansson plays a covert ops expert named Zora Bennett. She's been hired to lead the team extracting DNA from these dinosaurs. Mahershala Ali plays Zora's partner, Duncan Kincaid. Bailey plays a paleontologist named Dr. Henry Loomis. And Rupert Friend plays Martin Krebs, a representative of the drug conglomerate funding the expedition. They run into a family that gets stranded. So basically, they've solved the we're putting dinosaurs all over the earth problem by saying dinosaurs didn't like it. They went back to some islands. Like, that's where they're chilling. Let's get back to the Jurassic Park of it all. We've got a clear goal. We've got a team. Yeah. They get stranded. There are dinosaurs. Like, everything about this concept is there's no Chris Pratt. Like, there's no Bryce Dallas Howard. This is, let's get back to basics. We got some people. They need to get some dino DNA. There's gonna be death. I feel like, I know I'm in an emotionally abusive relationship, so I need you guys to check me on this, but I feel like maybe this time if I go back to him, it's gonna be okay. What do we think about Jurassic World Rebirth?
Shannon, you take this. I don't want to hurt his feelings.
Yeah. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that you actually did fall down the stairs and it wasn't Jurassic World coming after you again.
It wasn't the door again to hit you in the eye.
In terms of sort of resetting the world, I think Vogel is right. That they solved the issue of dinosaurs roaming the planet, and they're like, okay, the climate is inhospitable, so we got to go to where it's hot. We got to go to
they're all going to Florida. They're all going to Florida.
Dinosaurs in Florida.
That is where John Hammond said he should have built after the first one. But look, they have reset the board a little bit. You would hope that attracting talent like Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali, that they have a story.
And Jonathan Bailey. Jesus.
That they have a story that they think has promise. Gareth Edwards, his last director outing, visually, I thought was incredibly stunning. I don't think it broke any land speed records for storytelling and with the creator. But I do think, we've never actually found out how much of his Rogue One was actually on screen. We'll see. But I feel like when he is having to kind of answer to a studio, whether it be Godzilla, whether it be Rogue One, that the results have turned out a little bit better. So look, dinosaurs on screen, they only keep looking better.
Right.
So if you have a decent enough story and that brand has value in it for ages. So I'm interested. I'm not quite ready to welcome Jurassic back into the house the way Vogel is, though.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had a specific massive love for this franchise. Certainly enjoyed the first movie. I liked the third movie. There are elements of the second movie that are fun with Vince Vaughn, although he seems like the wrong person to be in a Jurassic World movie or Jurassic Park movie. But none of the recent three films have done anything for me. So I didn't like any of those films. So for me, this is a franchise that has a terrible hitting percentage. So look, I'm excited that Scarlett Johansson is coming back into this. I like Scarlett. I think she's great. I love that she's found a new franchise to be a part of after the whole Marvel situation. So great, leading this way. I think she can play the scientific stuff combined with the action adventure stuff really well. We've seen that with Black Widow and what have you. So cool. I'm excited for this. Gareth Edwards, I think this actually could work because this is not his script. And the fact that the creator was very much his thing. And I think there are a lot of plot holes, a lot of issues with that movie, although visually stunning. So if you get someone like David Koepp coming in, writing a script here that hopefully is damn good, and you bring in a hired gun as a director, Gareth Edwards, who's going to make it visually incredible, then maybe we found the secret sauce. And yes, this is just like Star Trek Discovery jumping 1,000 years into the future. They're jumping 5 years into the future. Be like, everything got handled. And we're going back to the basics. A family stuck on an island with Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey and got to figure this whole thing out. But it does have shades of Alien Romulus, right? What is this thing that they've supposedly found that's going to help humanity? And so what's the secret that this family holds that apparently is going to affect humanity? Is this the first human dino? Are we going to get...
Don't.
I'm just saying, are we going to get that by the end of the movie like we got in a recent movie? So,
I mean, I do think like the David Koepp of it all can't like the taking the guy, because like, look, Jurassic Park Lost World,
yeah,
I don't think blew anyone's socks off post Jurassic Park. As far as a sequel to one of the most beloved Spielberg movies, like I don't think Lost World did it. That being said, I will defend the fact that Lost World has some amazing sequences in it. Particularly when you get into everything with the Jurassic World movies, you go back to Lost World and watch it and you're like, there's some good stuff here. Like there's some really, really great moments. It's not a great movie, but there's great moments. And I do think that Gareth Edwards combined with someone who's maybe a bit of a better storyteller, my issues with the creator are not the visuals. Like that movie looks stunning, and Gareth Edwards knows how to do some really amazing stuff visually with his movies. So combining that with someone who knows what they're doing on the story side, I don't know. I got a lot of hope because look, it's like Shannon said, you're both right. Like John's right that Jurassic Park is a movie franchise. Its average of success is low. I mean, you all can argue the Jurassic World movies made a ton of money, but just like the response that people have, like critically, and how we sort of look at those movies, like it is not high up there. But you go to the Universal parks, you play that music, you put some dinosaurs in front of people, you give them a very charming raptor wrangler at Universal. They like people love that. And again, I'll still Chaos Theory and Camp Cretaceous on Netflix are two banger animated series that I would argue are better Jurassic Park stories and feel more like Jurassic Park than any of the last three movies. So I'm hopeful. I know that Universal will continue to try and get this franchise right, and I hope that they've done it this time. And once again, I find myself in a position, after saying that I was never going to go back, of going back one more time.
This time we're not coming out at 3 a.m. to drink with you. This time we're not going to do it this time. We're resolved not to do it this time.
Me drunk at home with whiskey. I don't know why I did it. It was bad again.
I just love that the Jurassic World or Jurassic Park, Jurassic World franchise allows me to have some superiority with my love of Transformers, because no person who loves a Jurassic Park franchise can come at me for my Transformers love, because they're equally all not good. So suck it a D. The first
No,
Transformers film.
my
is
issue with you
fantastic.
is that you say you love the Transformers franchise,
I
and
do.
then you insult the Transformers animated series constantly in your defense of the
I
Transformers
don't
live action
insult
movies.
it. It's talking cars. It's not heavy stuff they're dealing with. I accurately assess that. I don't know what.
I would argue those robots would be heavy.
Fair point. There you go. There's the Shannon McClung joke. Speaking of Shannon McClung, take it away, brother man. We got some trailers. What are we talking about here?
We
tonight?
got some trailers. One that could make you laugh, one that could make you cry, one that could make you go, The first one we're going to start off with, I was happy to skip, but then I was told in no uncertain terms that we have to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So the Team Sonic is back. We've got Sonic, we've got Tails, we've got Knuckles. We also now have the inclusion of Shadow being voiced by Keanu Reeves. We also have Jim Carrey coming back, not just as Dr. Robotnik, but as Dr. Robotnik's grandpa. Also James Marsden, Tika Sumpter. Look, I saw the first one in the theater. I was like, this is a cute movie. I actually got to be at one of the early table reads, reading some of the male roles. So I got to see Ben Schwartz doing his Sonic, got to see James Marsden and Tika Sumpter.
Nice.
These are not for me per se, but as I was told in no uncertain terms that these movies are very successful, one of the most successful video game franchises out there. So we had to talk about it. So why don't we throw over to that voice that told me? Well, I mean, it was both of them actually. Let me tell you, the one who says these movies make all the money, Michael Vogel. Tell me, what did you think of our first look at Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
I just find it really funny that I think as Geek Buddies, we should cover the breadth of geek culture. So when you go, we should skip this one, I literally thought you were joking, because I was like, Keanu Reeves is the voice of Shadow? Yeah, let's just not talk about it.
I thought you were joking when you said the trailer was breaking the internet. I was like, oh yeah, funny.
Listen, for the past 24 hours or 48 hours, however long it's been since the trailer came out, like my feed has been filled with people arguing about whether Keanu Reeves is right for Shadow, everyone looking for Amy Rose in that trailer, and everybody generally saying that they're happy with it. I mean, look, here's the thing. Sonic is arguably one of the top 2 most beloved video game characters of all time. Mm-hmm. There's the plumber, and then there's Sonic, and then there's others. I mean, like at least top 5. And the fact that we almost got a horrible human-animal hybrid creature as the CG character for the Sonic movie, and they then went back and fixed it, and the movie went on to be a huge success, spawned a second movie that by any stretch should not have been as successful or as fun as it was. Idris Elba, shockingly a great Knuckles. The Knuckles series, like, it's fine, it is what it is, but like it's expanding the Sonic universe. And I think for people who love the Sonic franchise, who love the Sonic mythology, what the Sonic movies also have done a really shockingly good job of is, even though the live action movies are a very different story with Sonic in the real world, his relationship with James Marsden, kind of fleshing it out, it's not the Sonic games, but they have still sort of followed the letter of the mythology pretty clearly. Like with the Knuckles story in Sonic 2, Knuckles kind of being fooled by Robotnik and the Master Emerald and all of that, like you're like, okay, that's more or less what happens in the games. And when you watch this trailer and you see that Shadow's coming into it, and you're like, oh, okay, we do have a Gerald Robotnik. Like the Shadow story feels like, even though it's set in the real world, this is the story that Sonic fans love. So I think, you know, we can all say that this is more of a kid's movie, which it is. It's not necessarily aiming for hardcore, cynical, crusty 40-year-olds who don't want to watch video game movies anymore, apparently. But it is doing what a lot of other big franchises don't do correctly, which is, even though it's telling its own story, it's getting the important details right. And I think that you can't overshadow that with these movies, because that's a big part of why they are successful. Like kids who have never played a Sonic game are finding Sonic for the first time and falling in love with Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and now Shadow. But people who have been playing Sonic for years and following its twisty-turvy, timey-wimey mythology are watching this movie and going, yeah, this is a slimmed down, simplified version of the mythology, but it's correct. So Sonic as a franchise is doing everything right. And I think that's why these movies are doing well.
Johnny, take it away. How else am I wrong about Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
Well, look, I like this trailer and I like this franchise. And I think this is one of the reasons why the narrative about video game movies has been kind of snapped in two. There are a number of films, whether you feel the Mario Brothers film was good or not, thing made over $1 billion. I like that movie. And so that's changing. Last of Us. So now we're seeing very clearly that creating franchises off of video games is no longer taboo anymore or an expectation of failure, the Mortal Kombat movie aside. We're seeing things that are changing here, and Sonic has been a big part of it. I like the first movie. It made $317 million. The second movie made $408 million. And a lot of people are predicting this movie might get to $500 million, which is pretty good for something like this. So, and this trailer looks like a lot of fun. I mean, Jim Carrey getting to do 2 different roles, sign me up. And the fact that this is keeping him from retiring as an actor, this franchise, all the more reason for it to keep existing so that Jim Carrey keeps doing Robotnik, because he is reborn as a performer as Robotnik. Honestly, he is the secret sauce that makes these movies so good. Ben Schwartz is great. James Marsden is great. Adam Pally, maybe less so, but I certainly enjoy what Jim Carrey is doing. And I love he's going to get a chance to play 2 versions of himself as a grandpapa Robotnik. And then Keanu Reeves coming in as Shadow. I like the design for Shadow. And I like Keanu Reeves voicing it because you don't know which way he's going to go, but you want to like this character. So you're going to feel more empathy with the fact that Keanu is voicing him. So to me, across the board, I thought this trailer was fantastic. Love that they're all getting together and going to fight a new foe in this whole situation. And that Robotnik and Sonic are going to come together and fight on the same side. Well, that's going to be a lot of fun.
And I do think it bears repeating what you said, which is like Jim Carrey, as someone who, like, I grew up in the era of Living Color and Ace Ventura, and Jim Carrey was the funniest man in the entire world. And then, like, his shtick got a little old after a decade. And something about this role, it is like some fresh blood for Jim Carrey. Like, he really does sort of just inhabit that role in a way that you never would have expected, which is really, really fascinating.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, boy, have I seen the error of my ways after this discussion. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 goes up against Mufasa, Quill to Maine, on December 20th. Our next trailer, it was our look at Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. So this is the documentary about Christopher Reeve's rise to stardom, playing the last son of Krypton, going through the tragic horse riding accident that did leave him paralyzed from the neck down, and on to his activist work, being an activist for spinal cord injury treatments. Man, this one really knocked me on my butt. But I'll throw it over to you, gentlemen, first. Johnny, why don't you take it away? What did you think of our look at Superman, the Christopher Reeve story?
Yeah, I did a reaction for this one, and I almost didn't do it, and because I knew it was going to be emotional, and I mean, Michael talks about Jim Carrey. Like, Christopher Reeve is what I grew up with as a 7-year-old kid in the theater, or 8-year-old kid in the theater watching Superman. That's, I love Man of Steel, of course, always, but Christopher Reeve will always have a special place in my heart as my first Superman. And so, and I lived through all those damn movies and went to the theater opening night on each of those damn movies, including Quest for Peace. And so to me, there's a special place. And I always felt he got a raw deal because he never was able to kind of break out of it and create a new path and create a new franchise for himself or what have you. And so I always felt bad about that. And I know you're like, oh, a rich, good looking white guy who no, but you care about people. And I cared about him and I wanted more for him. So when the accident happened, I was devastated, just devastated. But this trailer, like exploring all that happens before, during, and after Superman, I think is incredible. I got to see it Tuesday night, so I'm not going to say too much about it, other than I was in pieces by the end of the documentary for sure. And I think this is one that a lot of people who grew up with Christopher Reeve as their Superman are going to be moved by, inspired by, shed a lot of tears, but also really savor the story being told here about the love between him and his wife and how that helped him through all this whole process. So you see all of that through here. And it just made me sad all over again watching this trailer that we don't have Robin anymore. Like I can cry at a moment's notice whenever I think about Robin Williams passing. So it was tough to watch as well. Two great people who are friends for life off of Juilliard passing away in tragic situations. So, you know, it's a shame overall, but the trailer was devastating to watch, but also inspiring.
Mikey, as the big blue Boy Scouts #1 fan, and also as an unapologetic fan of the Donner Superman films, what did you think of the trailer?
Well, I knew going in, and I was like, okay, don't cry. Hold on. Like go in like clenched, ready. And I was doing okay, and then they brought Robin Williams into it, and then I was like, well, fuck you. I can't. Like Jesus Christ. The trailer hits, so I am sure I will, like Johnny, be a mess when I watch the documentary itself. But look, it's great. What happened to Christopher Reeve is so tragic, and the fact that he didn't let that be the end of his story is so inspiring. I mean, that's really in the big scheme of things, like you wouldn't wish this on anybody, but to have someone play the most iconic of superheroes and embody that to the point that even today, with James Gunn getting ready to do what he does, all we do is compare every Superman to Christopher Reeve. That's all we do. So to have someone inhabit that role and inhabit it so fully and have that role be something that stands for so much to so many people, and to have that person have something so horrible happen to them and go through that darkness and come out and go, I've changed my mind on what a hero is. And to watch him do what he did for the rest of his life, like there is just, it really is like real life poetry. And the trailer really brings that out, like brings that story out of like, this man became in some ways an even bigger inspiration than the fictional character that he portrayed. And that's amazing. And it really just speaks to who Christopher Reeve was as a person before he ever put on the tights and the cape. I mean, and that's what's so amazing. So yeah, man, it's going to be a rough watch, but I cannot wait to watch it.
Yeah, this again, knowing what we were going to get, but you do get to see this glimpse past him, the actor who played Superman, past the activist who dealt with the fallout of this tragic accident. You get to see you have interviews with his kids, and you get to see what he was like as a father. Again, after this life-changing event. And I agree, Johnny, like the moment that Robin Williams popped up, it was just like it's Kal-El and the genie up there right now, and it just I definitely got my office got a little dusty at that point. So Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, the release date's a little interesting. So it says it's going to play in theaters on September 21st. The wording makes me think it's only playing in theaters that one night, because they say they're going to have an encore presentation on September 25th, which is Christopher Reeve's birthday. And they have international release dates as well. So basically, if this interests you, if you want to see this on the big screen, come mid-September, just Google your local theaters and see if they are playing this. But I imagine it will be on Max pretty soon.
It's one of those Fathom events things. Is what it seems like. And just a quick tease, they play Robin Williams' eulogy in the so just prepare yourself. Just fucking prepare yourself. So go ahead, Jim.
Well, our last trailer, not that we have any emotional energy left, which is fitting because it's literally only a minute, and it's basically everything Marvel can do to say that Joe Locke is Wiccan. We get one last teaser for Agatha All Along. This one does focus on Joe Locke's as yet unnamed character, but where we find out that he is the one who broke the spell that brought Agatha out of that that supernatural malaise that Wanda put her in. And in the trailer, we actually see him say "I'm," and then you see stitching go over his lips, and we see Catherine Hahn's reaction, which again, for folks that don't read the comics, this is for folks, or rather for folks that do read the comics, this is Marvel all but saying, yes, this character is who you think they are. So, Mikey, why don't we go to you first? What did you think of our last look at Agatha All Along?
I mean, you look, after the last 2 trailers we got for Agatha, we didn't really need anything else. I think everyone was suitably excited, and all the buzz about Agatha behind the scenes is that it's a great series. And did I need them to give me the trailer that gave me even more of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge? Joe Locke is exactly who you think he is. I didn't need it. But in this case, did I want it? Sure did. Bring it on. Feed it right into my veins. Like, I know that that's who he is in my soul. It's like, that's what they've been doing from day one. But the more that they're going to confirm it, and I will say that in addition to just being like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, this is Billy, the way in which it's being done, the fact that he is the kid who broke the spell, the fact that he has had this obsession with Agatha all along, and that he has been really, really obsessed with her, and he wants to go down the witch's road because he wants to have something that he really wants. Like, this all is lining up to be like, okay, this is the kind of Marvel Cinematic Universe storytelling I am into. This is picking up the pieces of something that I loved and running with the ball, and I am here for it. Like, if my excitement couldn't have gone up any higher, this trailer, even though it was a minute long, did exactly what it was supposed to do, and now I am even more hyped.
Johnny, you ready for Agatha All Along? Did you need this last minute?
Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
I mean,
that was me. That was me. Exactly. That was the internet. That was the internet. She's like, what's your name? And we're like, blah, 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 blah.
He actually, I think, says "buh," and then they put the thing over his mouth. But that being said, I mean, is it Billy Kaplan? I mean, he's the one that says, "I broke you out of the spell. I need to get through the witch's road. I need you to guide me through this." Why does he need to get guided through this? I have questions overall. And wouldn't it be the easiest way to connect to Agatha to be the son of the person who imprisoned you in this situation, grown up here? That could trick you into giving trust to him. So I think he might
not know who he is.
I think this is Mephisto coming through here. No, it's probably Billy Kaplan. But yeah, I think this is also Marvel being like, guys, trust us. Wait, this is a good series. Come back. And so I think this is also their approach to tease that a little bit to get people excited and talking about it. But like you said, the conversation behind the scenes I've heard is good stuff. And them revealing that this is part of a trilogy in the WandaVision, this, and then the Vision series, I think gets me even more excited to see them weave a little trilogy action within the series.
And we missed this last week because it happened right after we recorded. With the Vision series, the news that James Spader is reprising Ultron. So we're going to have that. So again, another Vision. So Agatha All Along, all the buzz on the show is it's great. Rumors are that Wonder Man is actually really, really good. And then with Vision Quest, it's Terry Matalas, who did season 3 of Picard. It's Paul Bettany coming back to be Vision, obviously. Rumors that other West Coast Avengers are possibly going to be in it. And then James Spader being Ultron. You're like, okay, look, we've all been through it. And again, Marvel has promised us things in the past and has not been delivering as of late the way they used to. But that being said, all of this feels good. Feels right to me.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, Agatha All Along comes out on Disney Plus, the first episode, or maybe the first 2 episodes, September 18th.
There you go. Put it on the calendar. All right, let's take a break. We'll jump into our main topic, which is talking more of this Marvel stuff right after this. I guess I'll kick this off, gentlemen. We had a Marvel 85th anniversary trailer that dropped yesterday. Yesterday morning. We got a chance to watch it. I've watched it a few times. Fun trailer for sure. But we got to see some stuff in this trailer. We got a shot of the elevator thing again. We got a shot of Daredevil Born Again. Look at the red eyes. We got the Red Hulk there at the end of it. And so much it's coming up here from Marvel. And Ironheart, is that Ironheart? Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah,
what am I saying?
That's Ironheart.
Ironheart. And so we are seeing all of this that was teased in the trailer, along with hey, this is becoming an experiment, and now it's become a success. So, what did you guys think of this trailer? What did you think of these reveals here? are we excited coming off of what we just talked about with Agatha and Ultron, James Spader coming back as Ultron, all these things? What are your thoughts here?
I mean, the benefit of the incredibly successful first 3 phases of the MCU is when they want to do a montage, they can do a montage.
Yeah.
I mean, you have some familiar music. You have the voiceover of Stan Lee go into Kevin Feige's voiceover. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff, like the three of us have seen already.
Yes.
But I mean, I want to say that shot of Daredevil is new, but yeah, this does get me hyped. I mean, even though they find themselves on a bit of uneven ground at the moment,
right.
The catalog of Marvel characters runs deep, and there is plenty of time for them to right the ship. And as you guys already said, the early buzz on Agatha and Wonder Man is very strong. What we saw at Comic-Con felt very strong. So yeah, I mean, I'm always a sucker for a good montage.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, Shannon is not wrong. Marvel has plenty of footage to give us a montage that gets us hyped, and that 85th trailer really did do that. But yeah, look, I'm surprised, Johnny, that that shot of that elevator shot of Thunderbolts got you so excited,
dude.
I don't know what it is. You've been down on Thunderbolts asterisk for as long as I can remember, and that elevator shot turned you around. So
I know the energy of a movie when I see it, and that shot to me was like, hell yes, this is the kind of movie I want to go see in the movie theater. Just the energy and the vibe of like, we don't have any more fucks to give. We're sick of being screwed over. We're gonna take care of business ourselves. I like that energy and that vibe. Something about that shot screamed that to me, and I'm excited. Look, if people can look at that Jurassic World Rebirth logo and go, this slaps, I can certainly look at a shot of of an elevator and be excited for this movie. So now I'm back on board. Honestly, well, not back on board. I'm on board now. I want to see this movie now. So yeah.
I mean, look, I'm always going to be rooting for Marvel. I'm also, by the way, also going to be rooting for DC and rooting for Star Wars and rooting for. I want all my shit to be good. Like, I'm excited about everything. I don't want anything to fail. But the reason I feel kind of good at the moment is that we're coming off of Deadpool and Wolverine, which everybody had a blast. The movie made $1 bajillion.
Yeah.
Like we were just saying, the buzz on Agatha and the buzz on Wonder Man is good. Terry Matalas doing Vision Quest, I'm good. Like, I trust Terry Matalas. Brave New World, still a big question mark for me. Thunderbolts asterisk, I do love the elevator shot. It's still a big asterisk for me. Everything I've heard says that they knocked it out of the park with Fantastic Four. And then the Robert Downey Jr. thing, as we have talked about, it's a swing for the fences.
Yeah.
But if they do it, but the Russos coming back is like, okay, like there's enough going on right now that even though there's still a couple question marks to me, and there's a couple movies coming out in that whole mix that we aren't sure about, there's enough that I'm saying, okay, like, you can crawl out of where you've been. Like you're making the right moves, and if some of this stuff is as good as people are saying it is, and knowing we're going to get a Spider-Man 4 in there somewhere, even if it does end up being a multiversal story, it's like, okay, like, let's see what we got.
Yeah. What about this stuff? Let's move on to this, because I know we have limited time now near the end of the show. Thoughts on this? For a spoil? Well, actually, I should say this. Spoiler for anybody who has not seen these images of the Thing on set. We're going to talk about it. So if you want to skip past the next 2 to 3 minutes,
that you just
4 minutes
showed,
that I just showed real quick, you can. But if just in case you were looking down, you can skip it. So this is your spoiler warning. But we're going to bring this up and see what we think about this here. This is shared on a number of sites, but I'm using the Marvel Multiverse here account. So this is them putting the Thing together here, and the look and the energy and the vibe of this thing. So this is a more close-up look. So, gentlemen, thoughts on the first shots of the Thing here with practical effects on the set of Fantastic Four?
Well, my guess is that's probably a reference that what we actually are going to see, maybe it'll be a combination of practical and CGI. But my guess is, looking at the wide shoulders, that if you got you got a guy in a suit. The arms are probably not going to look as realistic as they could. But maybe maybe they've rigged up an incredible suit and they're just going to use CGI for his face. My guess is it's a reference for on set. But the thing that looks really great is the fact that he has the classic Rocky brow. Which that definitely harkens back to especially the classics.
Yeah, I don't think they're using practical effects. As like everyone on Twitter is like, oh, it's practical effects. I'm like, no. Like this is, you can see like with Korg and with Rocket and with Groot, like this is, they do have like a reference on set. You see something, and I think for Ben Grimm, like when the other actors are responding to him and wanting to look at him, you want something that is about the size and width of Ben Grimm so that everybody is shooting it correctly and the sight lines are working and everything else. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Ben Grimm is going to be CG at the very, to Shannon's point. Maybe there will be some elements of practicality that will all be enhanced by CG, but like, I just don't see how you do the thing with practical effects and have him standing next to things like Harrison Ford's Red Hulk and go, yes, we have this giant CG Red Hulk with a hairy chest, and look at this Jem Henson Creature Shop Ben Grimm. Like, it just doesn't, I don't know where that exists in the real world. That being said, I think Shannon nailed what is actually the most exciting about the reference, which is because you're looking at this and it is clearly using reference of what they are going to build in CG. It does look like we are going to get a extremely comics accurate Ben Grimm, which I think for a lot of people, in the same way that the fact that we're getting a comics accurate Galactus, and that like, again, everything is leaning towards, this is the Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom aside, which is a big question mark. This is the Fantastic Four you've always wanted to see on the big screen.
Yeah, and just to kind of reaffirm what you were saying, Shannon, here's the process for Ultron. You see the onset stuff and then what it ended up looking like in the bottom right corner there as it went along. So you're right. The onset stuff is just to give them a marker, but they'll certainly be enhancing it with VFX down the road. So yeah, absolutely. But speaking of enhancements, would the return of a certain character that we saw in Deadpool and Wolverine, and that's this guy, would that enhance the MCU at this point? A lot of people thinking that we are going to be possibly getting a Gambit movie. Certainly Ryan Reynolds is banging the drum loudly for Channing Tatum to come back and play Gambit. This has been met with derision and with cheers. So where do you gentlemen lie on the spectrum on this? And does them releasing a 17-second teaser, or sorry, deleted scene that basically implies he survived this whole fight, and that may be a portal that he's jumping into, does this imply that he may be showing up in Secret Wars and may have a series down the road, maybe produced by Maximum Effort and Marvel? What do you guys think?
No. Don't get me wrong, I love the clip. I love him turning and he sees the glow of the sparkly Marvel circle. Like, I love it all. I think Channing Tatum as Gambit and Deadpool and Wolverine is great. He is hilarious. His accent is funny. Do I think Channing Tatum in any universe should play the Gambit that we all want to see in an actual Gambit movie? No. Do I think Channing Tatum should be Gambit in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? No. Like, none of this. No, I do not think any of this. I think this is a nice little thing over here, and I don't need to see it anywhere else. And I want Marvel to go do whatever they're going to go do with the mutants and don't have any of these people playing them.
Shannon, your thoughts on this?
What Vogel said. I don't think that this is an indicator that he's going to be back. At this point, everyone that has been in a Marvel movie that was not in the MCU, people are saying, oh, they're coming back for Secret Wars. I mean, maybe. I know there's a lot of characters. They won't be able to put everybody in there. Yeah. And I don't know if Channing Tatum's gonna make the cut. But hey, crazier things have happened. I really didn't think Blade was gonna pop up in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh my God. So you weren't the only one. I think there's a future where Ryan, with the cachet he has now, talks Feige into letting him do these like one-off series on Disney Plus with these characters where he produces them with Marvel. I would not be surprised. Ryan is an ambitious son of a bitch, and I appreciate that.
Maybe he can get Justin Baldoni to direct.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, fair point. That's I understand that. I put that more on his wife. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. And it could be interesting, though, down the road, if he does like a Blade series that's just Wesley in his world, Elektra in her world, with maybe even the return of Ben as Daredevil or Colin Farrell in a cameo, and then a Gambit thing. I think that's very possible. Like we got with those the werewolf ones. It could be fun to see a 6-episode series with that.
So here's the thing. The only reason I don't think that will happen is because the only one that I think is even slightly possible would be the response to seeing Wesley Snipes as Blade, combined with the fact that Marvel clearly has no idea what they're doing with Blade, and Mahershala Ali was like, fuck y'all, I'm gonna go fight some T-Rexes. Like there's just like, Blade is just such a, they've never established it, they don't know what to do, and Blade is a one-off. Jennifer Garner going off and doing a one-off Elektra thing doesn't work for anybody, because we are finally getting Charlie Cox as Daredevil in the Marvel universe. And although most of the Netflix series does seem to have been canon now, it gives them the opportunity to tell an Elektra story like we've never seen before. And I don't think they're going to double dip. And with Gambit, putting Gambit in his own thing he's a mutant. You can't do a Gambit story without wanting to see Rogue. And so then do you have to cast Rogue, and then you have to have other mutants, and all of a sudden now you have a bunch of mutants in a Channing Tatum vehicle while you're also launching your mutant saga. Like, you're just not gonna be like, hey, yeah, sure, Ryan, go do whatever you want when we're trying to launch mutants for the first time in the MCU.
That's fair. Shan, do you think it's possible, real quick? I know we got to go.
Not really. Okay. I mean, again, I think it probably, what they don't need is more right now. What they need to do is get what they have right.
That's actually fair. I can appreciate that. All right. With anything more Marvel stuff we need to hit? Are we good? Do we wrap it up here?
We're good.
Okay.
A lot going on. Well, real quick. What do you two think about the rumors? Because there is a Marvel movie slated to come out between Doomsday and Secret Wars, and the rumors are now that will be a Spider-Man movie, and because it will take place between those, we're going to go back to it being a multiversal story and not the grounded story that Kevin Feige wanted. What are your thoughts on that?
As a concept, I'm disappointed that we aren't going to get that Tom Holland street level Spider-Man film. But thus far, the MCU Spider-Man has a very high batting average. So if this is what they come to, this is what they come to. We'll see. I just hope that Adil and Bilal are directing it.
Yeah. I think it's way too quick of a turnaround to do it, and it concerns me. So, okay, fine. If they can pull it off, great. But I would be very worried about it, especially because you're switching directors, you're switching the tone of it. Are you going to be able to get it right? And do you want a film coming out in between your two massive films that, if it stumbles, could not only kind of put a bad taste in your mouth about Spider-Man and the future of Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but then also affect your feelings about the Secret Wars film coming out right afterwards? So I don't know why you take this chance, but if they get it right, great, but I would not be too excited about it at this point.
I have a feeling it may end up taking place on Battle World and in basically a city of spiders people. So I think they're I'm not joking. Like, Battle World literally is like Doctor Doom reshapes reality, and in the comics you had the land of the mutants, and you had A-Force, and you had a Wakanda. Like, you just have sort of these lands that are sort of reshaped to be this sort of fantasy universe. Yeah. And so if the end of Doomsday is the multiverse collapse and Doom and Strange recreate a world that Doom runs, and Doom has taken every single spider person and put them somewhere, and Tom Holland finds himself in this world, like, that's a real possibility for what they might be doing. So just gird your loins now, because like that could be a thing. So we will see. But I'm with Shannon. I'm disappointed that we're not going to get ground level Spider-Man. I thought that was going to be the way to go. But given that it's going to get wrapped up into the Secret Wars of it all, it's a giant question mark, and we'll see. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if this is it for Tom Holland. Like this movie and the two Secret Wars movies, and he rolls on out of here. I would not be surprised in that way. All right, well, there you go. That's our Geek Buddies episode. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate you all madly. Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, I'd like to follow us on social media. On Twitter, it's @geek_buddies. On Instagram, @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's @Shannon_McClung. On Instagram, it's Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is @MKToon. If you'd like to follow Mr. Roca, it is @The Roca Says.
Mikey.
Smash the like button, subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page, check out what he's got there, leave your comments. What do you think of what's going on? Marvel 85, Jurassic Park Rebirth, Sonic 3, Shannon's favorite movie. Let us know in the comments below. If you're listening to us on a podcast, leave us some comments and stars there so we go up in the rankings. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, and tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
Hey, all in one breath. You gotta love it. All right, thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend. And maybe I'll convince these two to do a Geek Bites review of Terminator Zero. It's only 8 episodes, 30 minutes each, by next week sometime. So I'm going to try to convince them. We'll see if I can. But we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of the
Geek
Buddies! Hey!